Good morning. Good morning again. I see what happened. I'm on it. I see everybody took a little extra long and left me 10 minutes. Don't worry, this will be short. Yeah. Where's Casey Monco and Miss G? Okay. All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So I told Casey Monco and Miss G and a few people from Henderson a story this morning about how I was giving a speech, and I won't go into the whole thing, but about 20 minutes into a 90-minute speech I was supposed to be giving, the superintendent for the school division I was giving it to started to go like this. So if I see you do that, and I'll be looking over here, they're the only ones that are allowed to do that, though. Well, good morning and thank you for being here. This is my opportunity to go rather quickly through my slides this morning, but before I do, there's some really special people that I want to just shout out one more time because I want to make sure that they get their due. You've heard me use this analogy before, and I'll use it again. And I think about the experiences that we have, myself as a teacher in a classroom, as a principal, assistant principal in a building, even as a superintendent. And I think about our operations folks as the engine under the hood, right, of an organization that allows our teaching staff and our folks that are in the buildings to be the talent, to be those that are able to be out there in front of kids doing what they do best, which is teaching. And sometimes we forget about our operations folks. And I want to just take a second to recognize everyone on the operations team, whether it's our custodians, our transportation folks, our technology team, our HR folks, central office, daycare, food services. If any of those are you, please stand up because we want to recognize you. If you're an operations person, stand up. Stay standing. Stay standing. You got to stand up. Come on. You're one of us. We're all operations people today, right? Listen, take a look around. These are the folks that keep our buildings clean. They get our kids there. They get our kids fed. They get our kids taken care of before and after school. They get our kids' technology worked out. They pave the way in so many different ways for us to be able to do the work that we do in our classrooms day in and day out. And if nobody was there taking out the trash, if nobody was there doing the maintenance work, if nobody was there bringing the kids to school or feeding them or doing those things, it would make our job exponentially harder. So I just want to very quickly, before we even get started, just say thank you. Thank you to all of you for making sure, one, that we get paid every other Friday. Ashley Kendrick, you're the bomb on that. Making sure our curriculum's updated, making sure that you have the resources necessary to do what you do best, teachers in the classroom and paraeducators and principals and assistant principals, and that is to work with kids. So thank you again, operations folks, for everything you do. Appreciate you. I titled the presentation today, Turning the Page, and for what it's worth, I want to just say up front that in no way am I diminishing what has happened over the last 2 years or the last 4 years during the pandemic. It has been an incredibly challenging experience for all of us, and I'll talk about that right at the end, but we have gone through it. We've worked really hard to get our kids back in school. We've worked really hard to make sure that you all have what you need to do the work that you do in your classrooms, and I do believe that now as our third year begins, post-pandemic, whatever that means, now is the time to sort of move ahead and not look back. And Rick Miller yesterday in his keynote talked about being in the moment. And I want to encourage us all this year as we consider thinking about where we are right now to be in the moment and to remember that if we think back, it brings sadness and depression. If we think forward too far, we get anxiety-produced stress. So let's just be right here. Be right here, right now, with each other and with our kids, and turn the page and move ahead. So I'm going to see if this clicker works today. It looks like it's working, Rick Miller. I don't know what the problem was. So, who's new? Stand up. Stand up if you're new. Yeah. Today is the day that we're going to wrap ourselves around you and welcome you to the Falls Church City Public Schools and say to you, welcome, we're glad you're here, we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you're successful, just like we do with our kids every single day. So thank you for joining our team. Thank you for being part of us. We are excited to have you. All right, and on with the you knew it was coming stuff, right? All right. Some of you have been on this journey with me now. This is my 7th convocation. And you might remember the young person up in the left-hand side. When I introduced him to you in the first year, I introduced him as a kid who was interested in everything other than school and dabbled just a little bit in school. Well, he's still sort of the same, just by the way, but now he attends Temple University. All right, Susan Zernick, come on, let's go. Go Owls. Right? So he's at Temple University playing football and dabbling in school, just a little bit. But I will say this, for those of you that are playing at home and following along with his little career, because remember, you met him in 8th grade, right? He actually got his best grade point average ever last semester and got above a 3.0 for the first time in college. Now, in the upper right, we've got the brains of the organization. You might remember her. She was attending the University of Virginia when you met her. She also, interestingly enough, ended up at Temple University. It was so bizarre how it happened, but she is an MD, PhD student. And 2 Fridays ago, I had a chance to go up to Temple University and fortunately left the beach to go see her white coat ceremony, where she got her white coat, a new stethoscope that has a big T for Temple on it, and she started her medical training, and we're very excited about her. She's in it for the long haul, 7 years, MD, PhD. 2 years of medical school, 3 years she'll have her PhD. After that, and then 2 more years of her clinical rotations. And then she goes into residency and starts to become a doctor. But she's going to do all right. Lower left, Betsy Lynn. You guys know Betsy. Give it up. You guys did this to that kid. You have changed that kid's life. And I don't even know where to begin. It sort of chokes me up a little bit to think about it. When we moved here 2 years ago for the schools, we moved here because we knew that Betsy, if she went into Robinson Secondary, would be lost. She would have a hard time making a connection. The other 2 were just fine, but she's just a different bird, and she's great, and she's introverted, and she's funny, and she's thoughtful, and she's caring, and she's smart, but the big school system wasn't the right one for her. And when she came here, she made friends quickly, got into a peer group, had teachers that reached out to her and said, how can I connect you to our work? And you that have had Betsy, I literally am like tearing up here. Those of you that have had Betsy changed her trajectory in her life. And I, along with Bethany, who's there with coffee, are forever grateful for that. Thank you so much. So, no pressure, Meridian. She is a freshman this year here in this building and super excited to get started. And then the newest addition to our family is Reina. Yes, that means the queen in Spanish. That is our dog. When we got this dog, it's a Bernedoodle mini. Somebody said, oh my God, you are so Falls Church. So we are Falls Church. We have a Bernedoodle mini. Her name is Reina. She is the queen in Spanish, but that's actually not where she got her name. Some of you might know, if you read the Rick Riordan series, which Betsy has read 5 times, and now all of the Rick Riordan Presents, there's a demigod in the Rick Riordan series called Reina. And when we were bringing Raina home, we came up with all these names, and she was set on, this is going to be Apollo. And then it was a female dog. She's like, it doesn't matter. It's a non-binary dog. It's like, her name's, like, yeah, we're Falls Church. That's right. We bring them all. But anyway, we ended up with Raina, and we're very proud of that. And then that's all of us. Where is this Susan Zernick? Do you know? Reading Terminal. There we go. Right on. Having a little bit of food. All right. So I have some bad news to start with, or hard news, but I have some better news to sort of finish off with. And this is the hard news. The hard news is that recently the Joint Legislative Committee of the legislature completed a study in 21 and 22 of all the divisions in Virginia. And they had some summative findings that came out that were pretty devastating about the state of education and the state of play in Virginia. And some of the things that were reported in that JLARC study were things like Virginia teachers are leaving the workforce at a 12% greater rate than they had before. 72% of our teachers in Virginia are reporting low morale, really not happy to be where they are, and 67% of Virginia teachers report that they're less than satisfied with their job. Pretty devastating. I don't know about you, but I wake up in the morning, I put my feet on the ground, and I'm pretty proud to be here. I feel very privileged to be here. And part of the reason that I feel privileged to be here is because we've been recognized for some things, and I want to just dispel some myths about some of these things real quick. First is niche, right? We've been ranked the #1 school division in Virginia for 5 years in a row. That's because of you, by the way. And been given an A+ rating. People move here because of our rating, because of you, and because of the quality of education that we look at. Niche does look at a fairly robust set of data before they make their decisions. So some people might say, oh, that's just a blow off, but it's also backed up by US News and World Reports. It's also backed up by other agencies as well. So I want you to be really proud of that niche piece. The other piece that there seems to be some murmuring about that I want to kind of dispel some rumors of is around this top workplace by the Washington Post. The Washington Post called us about 6 months ago or 8 months ago and said, hey, can we do an anonymous survey with your staff to find out how they're perceiving your workplace? And we said, sure, whatever. So John Brett worked with the Washington Post. The Washington Post got our email lists. You all got anonymous surveys. You responded, whoever it is that responded, and we were recognized as a top workplace in the Washington, D.C. region by the Washington Post. Now, that's on you. I had nothing to do with that. You're the ones that responded to that, and I just want to say thanks, because it's a reflection of the work that you do not only individually, but the work that you do interdependently with each other and the work that you do as a system. So 2 points of data that I think are important that deserve at least a round of applause for you. So that's the good news. Here's some more news. Some more news is, and this comes from the surveys that we did administer. You might remember 2 years ago we administered the workplace survey, and last year we introduced the parent survey. We will we will redo the workplace survey this year, because we're going to do it every 2 years. We're trying to collect data about how you all are feeling. It's really important to us to make sure everybody in this room, operations and instruction, feel good about where you are. But this is what you reported. So think about it and juxtapose it to what I just shared with you from the information that we got from Virginia as part of the JLARC study. 93% of our staff rated their schools as good or excellent. 93%. 90% plus of our elementary, middle, and high school staff rated their school an excellent or good place to work. What was the morale number in the other survey? Much less than that. So over 90% of you are rating these places as excellent or good places to work. Over 90% of our parents and staff said they received good or excellent communication and information from their schools. 90% of our parents rate the quality of their child's education as excellent or good. That's huge, guys. Nobody else around here is getting anything like that back from their parents. I just want to make sure you're clear about that. Sets us apart in a way that's extraordinary. 90+% of our parents feel that schools are safe, and 96% of our children have an adult that they believe that they can turn to for support. Yeah. Oops. That is the great news. And that, again, that's data from you. That's not data that's just created out of whole cloth. This is a survey that was done by K-12 that came in, that we paid some money to administer this survey for, and these are what the data tell us. You can't argue with it. It's pretty amazing, and it's so far out of the norm for what else is happening around our state and around our country. And I would invite you to consider these data as you move forward in your year. Because if you're finding yourself in a place where you're not part of that 93% that rate your school as good or excellent, or 90% plus that think that it's an excellent or a good place to work, the good news is that you have someone you can turn to. You've got a partner that can connect with you, you can work with, and support each other as we move ahead. All right, so that is the great news. We spent last year investing in you. That was important to us. As part of our strategic plan, when we came out, I put up a list this time last year at Convocation and said, here are the things that we're going to do, right? And we've accomplished a lot of those things. We are recruiting a much more diverse workforce. Everyone received a salary increase, and we also right-sized our salary scales so that we're now market competitive in every single area. Some of our staff got as much as a 17% raise to get them to market scale. But everybody got something. There was one person that didn't, and that person knows that they didn't get anything, and we talked about it, and we figured out a way to provide them with something. But every single person in this room, 100% guaranteed, got a bump in your pay last year. And what's really great about the salary adjustments that we made is that if you stay with us, your career earnings have gone way up if you look at the end of the scale compared to what the last scale was. We're also paying for language classes, college and graduate credit. We have 7 people that have signed up to be teachers in Falls Church City. We're really excited about that. We're the first and only division to pay for 6 weeks of paid family leave. Sarah's like, yeah. I see you up there. We also are providing you with an additional 2 days of leave because the calendar changed for your religious observances. In addition to that, we increased the payout of your sick leave. We've more than tripled it. As you might remember, this time last year, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $4 an hour when you separated for service to pay for your sick leave. Now it's closer to like $15 an hour. And that is for 2 reasons. One is because it's the right thing to do, but the other is to try to incentivize you from not worrying about the use it or lose it, right? Because if you're not sick, I don't want you to use it. Our kids need you here, so I don't want you to be in a position where you feel like, oh, if I don't use my sick leave, I'm only going to get $4 an hour for it, so I might as well use it. But now we want to incentivize it just a little bit. And we're also, as was mentioned earlier by Mary Beth, we're now paying benefit costs for our part-time workers at the same rate that we're paying them for our full-time workers. Yes. So we've done a pretty good job as a team. I think that we've all worked very closely together. Those were all things that you all came to us and said, we'd really like you to look at this. We did. We went back to the drawing board, we sharpened our pencils, we did some work, and we made sure that these things were taken care of. And this year, we're going to continue to focus on our strategic plan, but as you all have heard the last 24 hours, our focus really is going to continue to be on the whole plan, but with a deep pivot into the wellness, equity, and belonging work that we do here to strengthen our culture here in the City of Falls Church schools. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Come on. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, it was you. This is the Buffalo fan over here, right? Come on. All right. So I want to just share this as sort of a metaphor, if you will, of sort of what I think about when I think about our culture here in the City of Falls Church Schools. We have surface culture, we have shallow culture, and shallow culture is not derogatory, by the way. It just means it's the next level down. And then there's deep culture, right? And shallow culture, surface culture are the things that we all see every single day. It's what our parents see, it's what our staff see, it's what our students see, it's what our community sees, and the like. So they see our things like what our mission statement says. They know what our goals are. They know what our vision statement is. They have a sense of our policies and procedures that we put in place. But if you asked anyone in the community, why are these policies and procedures in place? The community would say, most likely, I don't know. I don't know what the basis for those policies and procedures or that mission statement is about or that vision statement is about, because all they see is what is at the surface, right? And so I want to invite you in this year and today to think about what are the next two layers down? What is it about us as a school system that creates sort of a secret sauce, if you will, that makes us who we are, that makes us great, that talks about being number one, being the best workplace, 90+%, and all of those different categories. What is it about our shallow or next level down culture, and what is it about our deep culture that makes us who we are? So in shallow culture, it speaks to our values, our norms, how we act, how we treat each other, our beliefs, our perceptions. What are the traditions that we have? We have an incredible tradition here every year of celebrating the people that have been here the longest. That's an important part of our culture. And so what do the people that are outside that just see the surface see? They see us recognizing the talent that has been with us for a long time. They don't know why, but if we went to the shallow culture, we would say because it's what we value. It's about who we are. It's about what we believe. It's about our work to ensure that we share the same assumptions of being great together and that we be great together by supporting those that have been here for a long time. But I want us to really think about also this notion of deep culture, because shallow and deep culture are those things that affect what's above the surface. But this year I want us to focus on our really deep culture. And what I mean by that is I want us to think about what are the actions that we take as professionals in this organization to ensure that that everything we do is in sync with what our organizational culture is above the surface. So if you ask people in our community, like our survey did, do you think the school is safe? Our deep culture means that our actions are consistent with ensuring that all of our kids are physically safe, all of our kids are emotionally safe, all of our kids have a place to turn if they need support, because that's what people see on the surface. If we're in a system where our deep culture, where our actions, our attitudes, or our stories are different than what we're appearing to be at the surface, we have a rocky situation, right? Because we have people then working at cross purposes. So I want to spend some time this year talking about our actions, our attitudes, our stories, what we expect of each other throughout the year, how we problem solve, how we make decisions as an organization, as a group, some of the unwritten rules that we have, and ultimately our deep commitment for the work that we do. Because it's the deep commitment that you all make every single day when you wake up in the morning that is reflected in that surface culture, right, that people see. So I want to use that as just sort of the metaphor for some of the work that you've been doing and some of the things that we want to continue to do while we're here. Rick didn't say it yesterday. I thought he was going to say it. But the truth of it is that culture eats strategy for breakfast. In other words, we have a really great strategic plan, but if our deep and our shallow culture are off for some reason, we will never be able to achieve that strategic plan. Meaning that we need to be together about our organizational beliefs, our values, our work, our expectations of each other, how we make decisions, and the things that we care about, and ultimately, how how we treat each other. Because if we don't treat each other well, or we make decisions that are inconsistent with what people are seeing on the surface, we'll never be able to get to our strategic actions or our strategic plan. Richard Branson said something like this. I might have inserted school for business. I'm just saying. There's no magic formula for great school culture. The key is just to treat your staff how you would like to be treated. And one of the things that I hope that you carry away from here today is that I try really, really hard to model and to lead that. I know almost every single one of you in this room by first name. That's important to me. It's really important to me because you are the lifeblood of this system, right? But I invite you to also know every person in this room by first name. Part of the reason we're putting the pictures on the website, because we want you to be able to know by name, first name, when you see that custodian or maintenance person walking down the hall. To say, hey, good morning, Mark. How's it going? Going well, thanks. Julie, Teacher of the Year. How's it going? Having a good day? All right. Adam, things good? Family's good? Right on. Cool. I can't see any further than you guys. Anyway, but you get the picture, right? We want to treat each other really well because we are, in the end, the culture keepers of the organization. We are the people that our students look to determine how our system is going to work going forward. So if we have a culture that is mismatched with what's going on at the surface, or we're not treating each other in ways that are consistent with what our mission is, we're not going to be able to get to our strategic plan. So I want to invite you this year to really spend some time getting to know each other a little bit differently, to digging in more deeply into your relationships here in the City of Falls Church, because the deeper those relationships are and the better those relationships are, the better we will do as a system. I tried the behind the back, it worked. Yeah. All right. So Shine, Deal, and Peterson say this, and these are some important data points. School culture, what is it? Complex webs of tradition, rituals built up over time as teachers, students, parents, and administrators who work together and deal with crises and accomplishments. I think Lisa, you did a beautiful job, by the way. Where are you? Lisa Allen, you can speak publicly anytime. In fact, you want to just take over? No. But I think what you said today speaks to this in incredible ways. What has changed and what hasn't changed? What hasn't changed is what continues to make us great. What will change will continue to make us better, right? And I think it's about leveraging those experiences so that we can not only focus on the crises, because they'll come. You know, you put 2,600 kids into a school system. If I were a parent and I had 2,600 kids, the chances are there might be some problems, right? They might fight with each other, they might have arguments, they might not get along, and we'll deal with that. But I would much rather be dealing with some of those really great accomplishments because the vast majority of our students are experiencing those experiences. Michael Fullan, some of you might be familiar with Michael Fullan's work. Michael Fullan says this, school culture can be defined as the guiding beliefs and values evident in the way schools operate. School culture can be used to encompass all the attitudes, expected behaviors, and values that impact how the school operates. So I want you to dig in this year, again, just to think about what are the values that you believe as an educator? What are the values that you believe as a school? And is that building a school culture in a really positive way? Or is it in some ways mismatched with what we're trying to accomplish here? And right now, we know because of the data, 90+% of you are all pulling in the same direction. So my hope is that we can get to 100% rowing in that same direction, and all of us encompassing the attitudes and expected behaviors and values that impact how our school system operates. All right, I'm not gonna do this, but because we're short on time, I'm looking over here, nobody's given me this yet. Don't do that. But I would invite you to think about this, and you don't have to do it today. But if you and I were riding up the elevator at central office, and let's pretend for a moment that central office is 50 stories high and the elevator ride actually might be across the street, right? But the elevator actually takes 2 minutes to get to the top. What would you tell me about your school culture? What would you say is the culture of your school? And I would invite you to think about that. And then as we went up the ride, I would ask you to tell me what your 2-minute elevator speech is about the culture of your school. One of the cultural rituals that we have here, again, in celebration of the work that happens, is we have Mark Robarge come. He's the worst retiree ever, right? Mark Robarge is back. Mark is working with us. That speaks to the culture of our school. We care about those that have been here before, and we care about those of you that stood at the beginning who are coming in new, and we're going to embrace you. That's one of the things that I would talk about in my 2-minute elevator speech. What would you say? And then once you thought about what you were going to say, to other people from your school or your department believe in the same things? Would your stories be similar, or would they be disparate? You know, something to consider. All right. So here are some blocks of culture, and these come from Grunett and Whitaker. And I won't read them all, but there are a couple that I think are really important. The first is climate. Culture is not the same as climate, right? Culture is much bigger than climate. No, I'm going to say anything to you. My watch is talking to me, asking me what culture is. So, since you asked. So culture is much bigger than climate, right? Climate drives culture. So I want us to think about one of those building blocks being climate. And what is the climate of your school? What is the climate of your office? What is the climate of your division? And is that climate one of care? Is it one of interdependence? Is it one of belief and efficacy that we can all do this work on behalf of the kids that we serve, whether you're in the lunchroom, on the bus, or in the classroom? I believe you can. I'm your efficacious leader. I'm your number one cheerleader. I'm the person here who will say to you, I know you can do it. Nora, I know you can do it. Even with the littlest ones, I know you can do it, right? Because we together, collectively, can make that happen. If you don't believe that, I think it's important that we check ourselves, that we dig in a little bit and say, what is it about our climate that's maybe a little bit off, that makes me believe that we can't? Because as we know from Rick Miller and Peter Pan, the moment that you don't believe you can do it is the moment you'll never be able to do it. And so we've got to find ways to ensure that we're working together. The second is humor. Let's have some fun this year. Please, please. The last 2 years have been really hard. Let's have some fun this year. Let's laugh a little bit. Let's laugh a lot. Let's laugh at each other. Let's laugh at our work. Let's not take ourselves so seriously that we can't have a moment of self-reflection and giggle. Are you allowed to say giggle? Maybe. Anyway, so let's have some fun. And then lastly is the symbols. What are the symbols that we're going to put out there that get to hope, to get to the scientific meaning of hope? What are the messages that we're sending to our kids? What are the messages we're sending to each other? What are the rituals that we believe in that support what we're really trying to accomplish? So those are some of the building blocks of school culture that I want to just spend a second talking about. I'm going to share this presentation with you, and because of time, I won't go through the dimensions of culture in any detail, but I do want to share with you, these are some dimensions of culture that as you're working with your groups and teams to think about. One is your goals, your focus, and your values. Are you focused on those? What are your interactions and your relationships like? Are your interactions and relationships with your team the same as your interactions and relationships with others that aren't on your team? I would invite you to examine that and find ways to include everyone in our building. What are the ceremonies and traditions we have? Are our communications aligned to make sure that you're getting the information you need so that we have a good, strong culture and climate? Is there a distribution of influence and power in decision making? That list of things that I put up there were not things that came out of my head. I wasn't thinking about 6 weeks of paid leave. I'm done having kids. You told me, why don't we think about 6 weeks of paid leave? And we went back as decision makers and made that happen. So when you think about distribution of influence, power, and decision making, don't be fooled. You guys have the power. You tell us what you need in your classrooms. You write the curriculum. You drive policy decision making. You are major drivers in the system. But are we sharing that in our teams? Are we sharing that in our schools? Are schools reflective of the culture that we want to have? Morale and feelings of efficacy we've talked about. Don't underestimate the power of your physical space. If we live and work in a clean, neat, attuned environment, our kids will be respectful in a very different way. If we operate in a building that's dirty, that has broken things across the building, our kids will not value that space as importantly as we want it to be valued. So I again want to shout out Eduardo and his team, and the custodial folks, and our maintenance team, and the work that they do to pick up those orders to make sure that we have sort of that Disneyland effect, if you will. When you come to Falls Church, it's the Falls Church effect. You walk into this building. We had 3 visitors from Fairfax County yesterday who said, "Oh my God, this place is absolutely amazing." They sat right up front. They took notes the whole time. It was so obvious that they weren't with us. One of them was wearing a suit. I'm like, oh man. Anyway, they just were astounded by our place. And all of our places are much like this. Every corridor you walk down, whether it's at JTP, Mount Daniel, Oak Street, here, Henderson, they're beautiful. And it's because of the work of our team. Our kids see that. Our kids don't want to walk into a physical environment that's bad. Culture is the most powerful strategy and leverage point that we have in our organization to continue to make change. And I invite you to continue building on our culture of excellence here in this system by simply continuing to look at those things that I listed, but also building relationships with each other. All right, so what we know impacts what we say, what we do, and how we make people feel. You guys know that. Everybody in here knows that because you've been a teacher, whether you're a teacher on the bus, teacher in the classroom, teacher in the cafeteria, teacher in the hall, wherever you are. Kids might not always remember what you taught them, but they'll always remember how they made you feel, right? How you made them feel. So do that with each other, right? Let's make each other this year feel really good, because last year was really hard, right? And the year before was really hard. And the 2 years before that were even harder. We've had 4 years of really hard work. So let's find ways to continue to redouble our efforts. So, in proven ways, I would ask you today to leave with purpose, right? Knowing sort of where we're headed, thinking about our strategic plan with wellness, equity, and belonging, our culture. And I know I'm running way over time. Let's be positive. Positivity matters. I don't want you to be, what is the term? Something optimistic. When you're toxically optimistic, right? I don't want you to be toxically optimistic or toxically positive, but I do think we have a lot to be celebratory about. And there's a lot to smile about. And I think it's important that we do that, and we do that with care. All right? Choo, come on now. There we go. So the past 2 years, this is how I see it. You may see it differently, but this is how I see it. And I equate it very much to being a brand new teacher. Our brand new teachers, raise your hand here. Our second year teachers, raise your hand. Tell me if this is true. CJ, I'm going to ask you. You can say yes or, actually, I'm not going to pick on you because there's only one right answer. So, no, I'm just kidding. Here's the way I see it. My first year in the classroom was incredible, in any position. First year in the classroom. First year as an assistant principal. First year as a principal. First year as an assistant superintendent. First year as superintendent. Incredibly physical. I was out and I was about and I was moving around and I was talking with kids and I was meeting with parents and I was all over the place. And I would go home and I would lay down on my couch and I would just like pass out. I was so tired. The second, and by the way, while I was out there, I was telling people, this is what I believe, this is what I'm going to do, I'm so excited. The second year was incredibly emotional. Why was it emotional? Because I now had to go back and do all the things that I said I was going to do that first year, right? So I'm like, oh my God, what did I say? I said I'm going to do this, and now I've got to, and so it's incredibly emotional. But guess what? That third year, who are my third year people in this room? How you feeling? Solid. I like it. That's the way I feel. I feel like we're solid. The first year was incredibly emotional, or physical. The second year was incredibly emotional, and the third year is solid. We're 3 years past when we were out of school for the great pandemic, right? So now let's be solid. Let's be good. Let's be good to each other. It's like we were all first-year teachers again 3 years ago. We were first-year administrators. We were first-year superintendent. But we're in our third year now, and we're solid, right? So let's be present in this moment. This is an important moment for us because after today, what happens between now and June 6th, I think, 7th? June 7th, which is the earliest ever, by the way. June 7th matter. And I want you to enjoy it. And I want you to have fun. And I want you to be in the moment. I want you to be present. Don't get depressed. Don't get sad over what has happened before, right? If we look too far back, that's what happens, right, Rick? If we look too far ahead, we get anxious. Let's be present in the moment and let's have some fun. And I'll end with what I always end with in just a second. But first, I want to bring some guests up here to the stage. So, if the following people who are on this list would join me up here, I won't call you out by name, just in case you're not here. But would you come up here if your name's on the list? Come on up. Actually, we'll stay down here in the front. Come on. Got to find the end first, I think. Nanhoff. Got a lot of shout-outs today. Welcome. All right. Those of you in the back, I'm going to now make it the front. Morning. How's the girl? What's she doing?
Potty training.
Potty training, right on. All right. So I'm going to ask these people. We've got Angelica Lovelace. Thank you, Angelica. Nan Hoff. Jennifer McCorn. Well, actually, I won't go through because somebody might not be here. But these folks represent, on this slide, every facet of our organization. Everybody in our organization is up here, whether you're at JTP. Do we have a student in the house? Is there any student around? Alejandrina, come on, we're waiting on you. All right, if there were a student in the house, we would also want to see them too. But these folks represent everybody in our organization. And it's another metaphor. You know Peter and his metaphors. He likes them. Sometimes he mixes them up. Casey, how am I doing? Okay, wrap it up? All right. All right. All right. So these folks represent every facet of our organization. And right now what they're doing is they're passing a ball of string back and forth to each other. And can you somehow now, brown cow, kneel down in the front and stand up high in the back so that we can see what you've made. All right, this is my metaphor here. All right? This is what? A spider web. Supposed to be a spider web. It looks like a beautiful spider web, by the way. All right, so web, wellness, equity, and belonging. Spider web. Let me give you a few lessons of the spider web. If I can get this thing to go. Come on now. Thank you, sir. One more time. All right. So some lessons from the web for us to consider. Each of these people who represent a facet of the organization are considered the anchor points of this web. What happens if one of these anchor points droops or swoops or drops or whatever in the midst of everyone else? So let's take this corner down all the way to the ground. What happens to the spider web? It collapses. It begins to collapse, right? All right, pick it back up. So, we don't want collapse. We want strong, right? So, even though we have a school board chair over here and a JTP teacher over here, if the JTP teacher over here, collapses her corner of the web, it impacts the school board chair. It impacts central office. It impacts our police officer. It impacts Alejandrina and how she does her work. One strand of, okay, go ahead and pick it back up. All right, nice and tight. Somebody pluck a string. Yeah, just like that. All right, pluck a string. All right, you can't see it back there, but every one of them's shaking. Because when you pluck one of the strings, it impacts all of the strings. So if one person in our web is suffering or struggling or not doing well for whatever reason, it impacts the entire organization. You get the metaphor, right? So I won't go through all of them in such detail, but it's important to recognize that we are small, just like our web is small. and it's super fragile. And when one person or two people or a core group of people in any way droop or pluck or struggle, it impacts all of us. It took the entire team to build this web. It wasn't built by one person. One person wasn't personally responsible. And so in order for us to operate together effectively, I just want to use this metaphor one last time to say that we are a web of people that have to work together interdependently around our goals with a sense of accountability to each other so that we can maintain a really strong web. All right? You get the metaphor. Let's give it up for the people up here. Welcome. Welcome. We have some new people that were part of our web representing you, and we have some staff that have been here for a while that represented you as well. All right. Here's where we end for me. And then I'm going to turn it over to Rory. Whoops. You were made for this moment, you guys. Everybody in here was made for this moment. Be in this moment right now. And if you're in this moment right now, and you're kind and generative and thoughtful and give gracious space and do all the things that we've talked about over the last couple of years and do a great job in your particular facet of the organization, we will continue to shine and we'll continue to be great. And I believe in every single one of you in here. And it's a daily, I'm not going to cry, but I do want you to know that it's a privilege of a lifetime to work with you. I see you in the hallways and I just light up. Yoki, I can't see you and not like cry. I'm like so happy when I see you. I mean, it's a privilege of a lifetime to be here with you, and I appreciate you. So I'll end the way I always end, which is to go forth and be brilliant. But before you do, we have a couple things we're going to wrap up with. We're going to turn it over here to Rory in just a second, but I just want to say thanks. And I know that we held you long today. I'll make it up to you somehow, I promise. Maybe it's donuts. All right? Thanks.